Hey, scrappy people. Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with my second layout using the Citrus Twist Kit's Going Places collection. And I thought, what better way to, or what better photos to use this collection with than photos of us out on the road. So I have this enlargement that is 5 by 8.25 of our motorcycle on the Foothills Parkway. And then I also have these photos of us at the top of the Foothills Parkway. We travel the Foothills Parkway a lot, so these pictures aren't necessarily like of something new and exciting and different, but it is something that we love to do. There's this one card that says on the road. I think I might do it like this. We'll see. And then there's a few other themed cards that will work with this. This is a printable collection, so there's not a full range of product, but lucky for me, I have a giant box full of Citrus Twist Kits products. So I pulled some out that will work with this collection as well. So let's get started. So I'll admit, I've had these photos on my desk for quite a while. I actually think that they're two different events, but it doesn't really matter because what I'm going to be talking about on this page is how this is our like go-to ride and how I just generally want to get out of the house when I say take me on a ride. And so we generally do the same thing. So this doesn't necessarily tell the story of either one of these events in particular, but just like the story of our motorcycle habits. So I wanted to cut this into a half circle, but I didn't have a half circle or a circle punch large enough, so I just used one of my Starbucks cups, and it was the perfect size to get me a nice arc around the on the road portion of this card. And then I'm actually going to use my 2-inch circle hole punch, and I'm going to cut out the middle of it too, so it's going to turn into a ring rather than a half circle. And I think that that's really dope. It looks really cool when it's all done, and I can put something else in the middle here and make it interesting. So that was basically the extent of where I was going with this. I did know that I wanted to have a flip out, so I'm going to make that next. I really liked the way that this sort of mountain scene looked, but I didn't want it to look like it had water because we were on the road, not by the water. And technically it is pine trees, which are not the Smoky Mountains, but shh, we won't tell anyone. And I also had this photo of the two of us, and it was actually pretty large. It's almost 5 inches across. I think it's 4.5. And so I was struggling a little bit with what to do with this large photo. Because I was using a full page photo as well, it only left one little, well, one 5 by 8.25 side of the spread to work with. So what I decided to do was actually put this photo on the outside of this flip out, and that gave me a place to put the other photo as well. But it also covered up all of that water, and so now it doesn't look nearly like there's water in that bookmark, and so it worked a lot better for me. I will put some embellishments in the last of where that water is, and then you won't even ever know. So I'm going to use my typical technique for flip outs. I'm using a cardstock hinge sandwiched in between the front and back cards for this flip out, and then I tape the other side of the hinge to the back of my photo or my paper. And I get some questions about this sometimes. So what happens when I put these albums together is whatever layout comes before this in the album gets glued to the layout that comes next to it. So when this album is finished, or when I have 2 pages that are, you know, back to back, that whole cardstock hinge gets sandwiched in between that layout and the layout that came before it, so it's double secure, and you don't see the back sides of my pages when the album is done. Okay, so I've added in my holes, and this is the basis for my layout. This photo is on the front, and then the photo of just me is on the back. But this left me with a bit of a conundrum because I have this whole inside paper and nothing to do with it. I had no more photos. I already had a spot for my journaling, so I didn't need to add journaling to that page. So I just had like this big 5 by 8.25 piece of paper that needed to be embellished in some way to make it make sense. Now, I did use that sunburst paper, so it already has a great base for embellishment, but what the heck am I going to do with this giant paper? So I'm contemplating what I want to do. And whenever I am trying to think something through, I always just switch gears and do something else. So I wanted to put something in the center of that circle, and I'm going to embellish the front and back of that flip out as well. I really loved these tiny circles, but I really just ended up with nowhere to put them on this layout. I didn't want to do the obvious thing and put something in the center of that sun. I try many times in this video to put something in the center of that sun paper, but I just never really find anything that works for me and makes me happy. So nothing ever ends up in that center of that sun, even though it seems like with all of these circles on this layout, something should have ended up there, but nothing does. Okay, so I've got the front and the back, or I've got the front embellished. Now I want to put something else right here because I don't really have like an entire 3x8s worth of journaling, so I'm just covering up this bottom portion here. And I decided to go ahead and make the sun paper a giant title. Now I initially lay down all of these green letters and go back and forth between the white and the green, and this could have worked if they were A, slightly smaller, and B, just not green. I think that the green was really throwing me off. Even though it matched the rest of the layout, it did not look great on this yellow. So I leave it there for a little while, and I'm trying to cover up this bottom corner of this page, and just nothing is working for me. I don't love anything. I try to use this national park, and it just looks stupid down there. Nothing was making me happy. So what I end up doing is switching gears and taking those green letters off and going with white letters all the way around instead, and then extending my title. So you can see, look, here I try to put something in the center here. It's going to sit there for a minute, and I'm going to decide I hate it. But it did bring in some of that green lettering that I thought would make the alphabets work, but no. So you can see me just trying to bring in as much green as possible to make that alphabet work. It's just not going to happen. It's okay to bring in the green in other places though, because there is green on the rest of the layout, but just in the end, I just don't love it. So what I'm going to end up doing, like I said, is I'm going to pull off the green letters and I'm going to replace them with white letters, and I'm actually going to change the title a little bit too, to extend it all the way around that yellow paper so that it takes up the whole page. And this ends up being like the longest title I've ever made, especially with one alphabet. And that's kind of why I love these foam alphabets from Citrus Twist. There are so many letters. I end up using all of the same alphabet, and I still don't even use all of the letters on this alphabet sheet. So it says, let's follow the parkway into the Great Smoky Mountains today. It fills up that whole page and makes it feel like I didn't just have this weird blank page that I needed to work with. It made it feel intentional to me. I was much happier with the white on white letters. So I just need to finalize this page and of course fuss with these letters, because the one hazard about foam letters is that they don't go down straight if you're not careful. And then I decided I just needed like some icons to go on here, and so I decided that these bees would work out well. So we're gonna frame the photos on the front with these bees. This die cut collection is, I think it's still available in the shop, but it's definitely older, outdoorsy, travel kind of die cut collection. It works really well for this page. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna add in my journaling off camera. But the journaling says, or the card says, I haven't been everywhere, but this is my list. And instead of, building a list of all the places I want to go, I end up doing a list of anywhere. There you go. Anywhere, everywhere, just get me out of this house, which leads into my journaling pretty well. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to Citrus Twist in the description box below, and I will see you next time. Thank you.